Hey everyone, welcome back to Gracie May's Tarot. So today we have an ultimate soulmate reading. I haven't done a soulmate video in a long time, so we're going to be finding out everything we can about your soulmate, when you'll be coming into union with them, all that good stuff. So we have 3 groups to choose from today, so you can either choose your group based upon the image that you are most drawn to in the thumbnail, or you can choose your group based upon the Thera-Pets Oracle card that you are most drawn to. So we have for pile 1, a bad day doesn't mean a bad life, tomorrow will be different. For pile 2, we have, you've been doing a great job considering all you've been up against. And for pile 3, we have, your speed doesn't matter, forward is forward. Now, when I pulled these cards, I pulled a message from your soulmate's higher self, what they want you to know at the time of you watching this reading. So this is a message from your soulmate. So again, you can choose your group based upon the image that you're most drawn to in the thumbnail, or if you feel like one of these messages is really resonating with you, you can choose your group based upon the card here that you're most drawn to. Timestamps are listed below in the description box, just like always. So take a moment, pause the video if you need to, and meditate on the groups. And yeah, I will see you guys in your reading. Hey pile 1, so for your group I chose the Weird Cat Tarot. You all have the Page of Swords, we have the Magician, the Devil, the Sun, we have Ace of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, and we have the 8 of Cups. Now for your group, looking at your spread here, it sort of feels like it's telling me the story of how you will come into union with your soulmate. And remember for this, I don't know if I specified this in the intro or not, but we are talking about a romantic soulmate for this reading. But yes, so it really feels like it's telling the story of how you come into union and what things need to be cleared for that union to happen. So with the Queen of Pentacles here, this is divine feminine energy. This is earthy energy, very grounded energy. So I do feel like you are coming into this place of self-empowerment and feeling like you are making like real practical sort of decisions that make you feel connected with your root chakra, that make you feel safe. You know, there's a real sense of security here and you being happy and content, sort of, and very like connected, I think also. So I do think that maybe you tend to be typically like very dreamy, very sort of ethereal, you know, like you like to be in your higher chakras, you like to be connected with spirit, you know, you like to daydream, you like to do things that maybe involve a little bit of escapism, like maybe you like to listen to music a lot, or you like to read a lot, or you know, maybe you just like to be in more of a creative flow, you know, maybe not necessarily paying close attention to the world around you because you're lost in your own world, you know, that kind of vibe. But I think your soulmate is quite earthy and quite grounded, and so it's sort of like you're stepping into the energy of your soulmate in your own way, because I do think you come across as more of a divine feminine and your soulmate would be representing the divine masculine. Now we're just talking about energy, we're not talking about gender, but I feel like you're stepping into the energy of your soulmate in a way that makes sense to you. So it feels like you are stepping into that earthy energy, but in a divine feminine way where you're calling in the energy that you are now embodying. So it's sort of like you're becoming what you're trying to attract. Okay, so I think, what does this look like, you know, in terms of like your daily life? Before you come into union with your soulmate, maybe you are like observing your surroundings, you know, you're not lost in your own thoughts, lost in your own head, you're actually paying attention to the world around you more, you know, you're getting outside in nature more. That could also be a thing, you know, maybe if you tend to be a homebody, you're getting out in the world more, you're participating more, maybe you're more focused on your career as well, you know, that material security, financial abundance, maybe you're working on a project that you're hoping will bring you in like passive income or more financial stability, something like that. Maybe you're switching up your daily routine, getting more structure, getting more discipline, eating better, or exercising more, making sort of like healthier lifestyle choices, even in terms of like time management, just getting more structured with your day. You could see those changes coming about within you, at the time that you're calling in your soulmate. But I think also, it's kind of funny. Remember how I said you're like doing it in your own way with the Magician here and this divine feminine energy with the Queen of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. It feels like you're calling it in. So you're not doing things necessarily that would traditionally look like, oh, I'm trying to find a romantic partner. Like you're not asking people to set you up on a blind date. You're not going to places and flirting and starting conversations with people. You're not signing up for online dating apps. You're not doing things that would traditionally look like, oh, I'm trying to start dating or I'm trying to find a partner. You're not doing those sorts of things. What you're doing is you're asking the universe, you're trusting in divine timing. You're understanding that there's a greater plan here. And so really what it looks like is you trying to be a better version of yourself, or maybe more of a well-rounded version of yourself. You're trying to be the sort of person that you're trying to attract. And it's not that you're changing yourself or anything like that in some sort of fundamental way. It's just that, if you want someone who is really organized, or someone who's really ambitious, or someone who's really self-disciplined, maybe you need to start embodying some of those traits. So you see what I mean? Like you're enhancing who you are. You're not really changing yourself in some sort of fundamental way, okay? But yeah, there's definitely, of course, with soulmates, it's not that surprising to see the Wheel of Fortune come out, but there's definitely a divine plan here, and you are absolutely manifesting your soulmate as we speak. Now, with this Ace of Swords and this Page of Swords, I do think that at least with your initial meeting with your soulmate, there's definitely going to be this sort of attraction around language. So there's something playful about the communication here. There's some sort of like witty banter, quality conversation, there's a little bit of like back and forth, it's very quick, very witty, very fun, very lighthearted as well. But also with the Ace of Swords, like it's gonna hit you like a truck. It's like this epiphany moment, like, oh, this is my person. So I do think there's also, with the Devil and the Eight of Cups here, this is telling the story more of like what has to be cleared. There's some things that you have to release, some things that you walk away from, either as you're calling in this soulmate, or you have this epiphany moment when you meet your soulmate. Okay, this is what I need to let go of in order to make space for this person in my life. So this could be self-limiting beliefs. This could be, maybe you're currently in a partnership that you're not happy with. Maybe you have to leave a place that doesn't feel like home. Maybe this is a long distance connection and you'll move to be with your soulmate. So maybe you meet them while you're traveling or while they're traveling. That could be a thing as well. But there's something there about walking away from something that's just good enough, but maybe isn't really making you happy. And the Devil here as well, I think there's going to be a lot of physical attraction. So there's this mental attraction here, right? Like intellectually, you're very attracted to this person, but also physically very attracted to this person. But the Devil also talks about addiction, codependencies, things that are holding us back, that we're willingly allowing ourselves to be chained to. So that works really well, right? In tandem with the Eight of Cups. You're going to be walking away from those things that have previously held you captive, but again, it was like willingly holding yourself in those patterns. And so with the Ace of Swords, you could also be getting this sudden moment of clarity, like, oh, I see all along I had the ability to walk away. So maybe you're feeling stuck or feeling stagnant or feeling trapped in some way, and you're not sure how to get yourself out of it. But your soulmate is going to provide you like that moment, that epiphany moment of like, oh, I see what I have to do now, you know? And maybe it was there all along, you know, and you were just too scared to say like, oh yes, that is what I need to do to free myself from that addiction, that self-limiting belief, you know, that codependency, like whatever it is, whatever you need to walk away from. It's a general reading, so it's going to vary, but you'll be getting that epiphany moment. Now with the sun, I do think your soulmate, no surprise, is going to represent a new chapter in your life. You're going to feel so free, so lighthearted, so optimistic, and really it's your hope. It's your hope that a better future can exist for you that is really calling this in, because I do feel like with the Eight of Cups and the Devil, like you've been going through an extremely difficult time, a very challenging time, but I think it's your heart of gold, right? It's that belief, that faith in the universe. I think you're very spiritual, Pile 1, and that's why I think it's quite a difference for you to be in that Queen of Pentacles energy, that very grounded energy. I think your soulmate is very grounded, but I think you tend to be very spiritual, very mystical, you know, head in the clouds, feet in the water, you know, kind of energy. And so I feel like that heart of gold, that faith that you have in the universe and your willingness to co-create with the universe and seeing like your own power, but also balancing that out with the power of the divine, is really what is allowing this soulmate union to come through. It's this belief that a bad day doesn't equal a bad life. This belief that your past does not have to determine your future. Your past really has very little to do with it. It's just something you have to walk away from, something you have to heal, something you have to release. But it's not meant to keep you trapped. You know, it's not meant to be a prison. So I think being in the present moment and looking towards the future with hope, faith, and optimism is maybe the final piece to this puzzle that is going to call in your soulmate. All right, let's get into your oracle. So I pre-pulled the cards because we have a lot. So these two cards are representing the archetype that you are viewing your soulmate as. So we have athlete, dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit. And we have poet, expresses soul insights in symbolic language. Okay, so I feel like this is balancing out really well how I was talking about there being an intellectual compatibility, but also this physical attraction. I also think with this athlete card, this is speaking to that grounded energy we were picking up from your soulmate. So they could have some earth sign placements, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. But I also think with athlete, we're talking about someone who, and devil is also representing Capricorn. But I do think that there's an element of self-discipline, of ambition, go-getter sort of attitude, someone who's a leader, you know, someone who is quite structured in their routine. You know, an athlete has to train, they have to be very scheduled, very disciplined, right? And they have to be conscientious of what they're eating. You know, you see how we were talking about that Queen of Pentacles and getting more structured with your routine, you know, those sorts of things. I think that's you embodying some of those positive qualities of your soulmate before they come in. With this poet here, there's a romanticism, right? Like, I do think that sort of having this more romanticized view of your life will be quite helpful in calling in your soulmate as well, because I think that if you can sort of look at your life with that Wheel of Fortune attitude of miracles happen all the time, like expect the unexpected, expect the impossible, like sort of see yourself as the hero or the heroine of your journey here, the main character sort of energy, seeing yourself as a protagonist, and like, you know, this is all a journey. And so these challenging things that have been put in your path that you're seeing as sort of barriers to meeting your soulmate, really it's not a barrier, it's preparing you for this connection. So seeing everything as being of your highest good, it's happening for you, not to you, all those sorts of attitudes, those perspectives, I think are really helpful in calling in your soulmate. But with poet here, I do think that You'll see your soulmate as someone who is very charming, someone who is very good with their words, someone who, you know, always knows the right thing to say, you know, someone who is quite flirtatious, someone who is very romantic in their language. But also, I think with all of this red here, someone who knows how to say things that make you feel very safe and secure and comfortable. So it's not that they're flirting with you and saying the right things and trying to deceive you in some way. More of they're saying all of these beautiful things that are making you feel comfortable and like you can open up to them, but that also paradoxically make your heart race a little bit. So I do think there's an element here of like nervousness, but in like an excited sort of way, but then also feeling very safe and comfortable and like you've known this person before, you know? So I do think there's a beautiful balance here between attraction and comfort. Okay. Also, with this poet and the Page of Swords and the Ace of Swords, they could have maybe an air sign Mercury. That could be a thing as well. So Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Or they could have that as their rising sign, their ascendant. Okay. They don't have to. It's just a possibility. There's a lot of you watching. Okay, so these three cards are describing what is currently happening in your soulmate's life. So we have accept love. We have tears of joy and sadness. And we have healing waters. Okay, this is telling a very clear story, right? It feels like currently your soulmate likely has gotten out of a difficult romantic partnership. Maybe they've just had, you know, a series of like bad dates. It could be though like a literal breakup. Or this breakup, I'm sorry, I'm a little sniffly, or this breakup could have happened maybe some time ago, or maybe it was even a divorce for some of you, but they're now healing it. So this may have been something they repressed for a while, you know, maybe they buried themselves in their work and they didn't want to deal with it, or it could be something that recently happened. You know, it's going to vary, but the good news is that they're healing their heart. You know, and that's a bittersweet thing, you know. They're going to have days where they feel really happy and really joyous that they are now independent and in their own energy and able to focus on themselves, you know, and that self-love. And there are other days where they're going to be sad and reminiscing and thinking what could have been. And, you know, that loss of like, what if, that loss of potential, I think is probably the most difficult part of, you know, how they thought things were going to go. It didn't go that way. And so I think that this is very good because it tells us that your soulmate is preparing for this forever connection. You know, they're preparing for you. They're preparing for a love that is honest and true and balanced and healthy. So they're working on themselves. They're working on being open to love again. They're working on being able to receive healthy love, you know, and there's some ups and downs in that healing journey, but they're doing it with healing waters. They are absolutely doing it. And I always like the way this card is depicted here because it kind of gives me this vibe of like filling up your own cup and pouring that love back into yourself. You know, that idea of like, I'm not giving away all of my love, or I'm not expecting someone else to provide everything I should be providing for myself. You know, it's sort of like preparation for that Two of Cups, that healthy, balanced, you know, equal give and take relationship. It's not always 50-50, you know. Sometimes in relationships, your partner's going through a hard time and they may only be giving 30% and you have to do 70%. But a healthy connection is when you can only give maybe 20%, your partner is willing to step in and give the 80%, you know. It's being there for one another when you need to be. Okay. So let's continue onward. These three cards are representing the overall dynamic of your relationship with your soulmate, or how your soulmate's how your soulmate's energy is going to change your life, or what it's going to add to your life. We have divine guidance, Whispers from beings who shine, let their message be clear and kind. We have romance. Romance, it is a sacred power. Let it come to me this hour. And we have wisdom. On a Wednesday with a waxing moon, let wisdom come and be renewed. Okay. So much here, right? Like divine guidance, and you got the Wheel of Fortune. I'm not going to pick up all these cards, but you guys remember, you had the Wheel of Fortune. So I do think that when this soulmate union happens, I think you're already an incredibly spiritual person. But when this happens, because you've been praying on this so long, manifesting, calling it in, whatever terminology, resonates with you, because you've been hoping for this, you've been patient, you've been so patient, and you've been understanding that this isn't all about when the timing is convenient for you, right? Or when you want it. It's about when are you ready and when is your partner ready, because we know your partner's working on themselves, right? Your soulmate is working on themselves. So you could be absolutely today ready for your soulmate, but we know right now your soulmate is working on what they need to work on. So because of this patience, and because you are willing to have hope and faith and optimism, even though it's not happening tomorrow necessarily, this is spirit it's going to feel like a gift. And so when this gift comes in that you've been patiently waiting for, you are going to feel so connected. You're going to feel so vindicated. Because I don't think you're talking about this with anyone, but if you were, other people may say that's silly, that's crazy, manifestation isn't real, or, even spirit or the divine or God or whatever, again, terminology you want to use, oh, that's not real. If you want to meet someone, you need to get out there, you need to be dating, you need to sign up for a dating app, or you need to do this, that, and the third, right? But because you have this faith, this belief, you're not out there seeking something, you're calling it in, you're using that divine feminine energy. And because you're calling this thing in, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry guys, there was an alarm going off in the background. Okay, I'm back. Because of this, you're going to feel so empowered, you're going to feel vindicated, you're going to feel like I'm not crazy, all of these spiritual things I believe in, all my spiritual practices, even just your faith in general, it's going to be so much strengthened, and you're going to kind of look at it like, wow, I called in my soulmate. What else can I call in? What else can I manifest? What else can I ask for, And so I think it's going to really change your perspective around things, and it's going to strengthen your connection to spirit even more deeply. With romance here, of course, we're talking about a romantic partnership, so there's going to be more romance in your life. I'm not going to give examples of that. That's pretty clear cut. But with romance here, I also think you're going to be in love with your life again, because I think you're in a really difficult, challenging, weird chapter of your life, a chapter that you would like to close and you've been wanting to close for some time now. And so with romance here, it's just welcoming in a new start, being in love with your life again, having new experiences, meeting new people, going to new places, and connecting with someone that I think is quite different from you and who's going to open up really a whole new world to you. And I think it's going to be quite fulfilling. The 2 and the 3, if we add that together, that's 5. I think there's going to be a lot of changes happening in your life. Now with wisdom here, with 7, I think that you're going to learn a lot about yourself through this union with this other person. And so I do think there's a lot here about you two growing together and learning more about yourself through sort of your differences with this person. Okay, so this card, oh, I'm sorry, 2 cards for you. These 2 cards represent overall themes of your connection. We have friendship, care is there, and we have territorial, find your place. With friendship here, I do think friendship would be sort of the bedrock of this connection. Even if things didn't work out, this would still be someone that you would remain friends with because there's a lot of mutual respect here, a lot of mutual appreciation, and you're sort of bonded by that strong communication, those quality conversations, your willingness to compromise together, your willingness to work things out, genuinely enjoying spending quality time together. Like you're not just romantic partners, you're also friends. With territorial, find your place. Several messages come up with this card. So you could be moving to be with this person, and so you're sort of finding your place, finding your home in this world, and could be literally moving in together and sort of trying to figure out, how to combine your possessions and combine your spaces, right? Also, with find your place, maybe you both have pets, or maybe both of you have children, and it's sort of a little bit of, we need to navigate how we combine our households. That could also be a possibility. I also think that with this find your place card, this could also talk about finding your lane within the partnership. So maybe you really care about the household and how things are done, or the way things are decorated, or how clean things are, things like that. And maybe your partner doesn't really care about that so much, and maybe your soulmate cares more about finances and like how you invest your money, or how you combine your finances, or budgeting, or how much money you're spending on certain things. And so maybe that's like finding your lane, like you care more about the household and they care more about finances, and so you guys both have an area of the connection that you have more control over than the other person. So you guys both have your own separate lanes, I think is the best way to describe it. Okay. I didn't ask any specific questions with these cards. We have Fae. Not everything is as it may seem. Be cautious, dear one, for there is a story beneath the tale. And we have Maiden. Demand what is yours and take back what was taken. Reclaim it until you've gathered all of you. I think that you all have been in connections where you thought, based upon maybe your first impressions, or maybe you had sort of rose-colored glasses on, you thought that someone was one way, and then through getting to know them, you found that you were quite wrong, for better or worse, and you've sort of been taken for a ride in some, you've been deceived, you've had these cases of deception. And this is sort of reclaiming back your power. We see the sun here, we see butterflies, transformation, we see the honeybees on her arm cuffs here, the double twos. We see you calling in this happy, healthy, balanced connection because you deserve it, and you don't deserve to be in this energy of deception, of people presenting a false mask, of this trickery, of these lies, betrayal. You deserve better than that. And it's time to reclaim back your power. And so when you're calling in your soulmate here, you are calling in someone that is deserving of you. So you're reclaiming sort of back, the saying, like, you deserve the love you so freely give to others. You're reclaiming that. You are calling in a love that represents all the love that you've given away that's never been reciprocated. So a very positive outlook here for your connection with your soulmate. Okay, these cards are representing the best traits of your soulmate. We have I communicate with compassion, and I act respectfully of others. Yeah, this is someone who, and you see the feather heart here, this is someone who is pure of heart, someone who's well-intentioned, someone who tries to own up to their mistakes, someone who has accountability, someone who tries to act in a way that is decent and good, someone who has a strong moral compass, someone who tries to do the right thing. They may not always do the right thing, they're not perfect, but they put forth a good faith and good effort. They really, they're really sort of, this is someone who can genuinely give an apology. This is someone who, just someone who's really accountable, you know, and someone who treats other people the way they want to be treated. You know, as simple as it sounds, not everyone does that. And so your soulmate is someone who just has a pure and good heart. You know, they try their best. They really do. And with that, communicate with compassion. This is someone who's going to be a great listener, someone who listens to understand. You know, they don't listen to respond. This isn't someone who tries to win every single argument. You know, they want to understand. This is someone who has the ability to forgive, you know, as well as apologize. This is someone who doesn't harbor a grudge or resentment. This isn't someone who is out for revenge. You know, this is someone who tries to understand why someone hurt them. This is someone who tries to learn from their mistakes, you know. Just a very mature energy overall. Okay, so these cards are representing your soulmate's potential career or the career path that they would be good at. We have career change, we have children, we have artist, we have school, we have nutrition, and we have you're on the right path. So a couple different things with this. This is someone with career change, like literally they could have had multiple career changes, but I think this card is more speaking to their versatility and the fact that they have a lot of talents and a lot of interests and a lot of passions. You know, this is a dynamic person and they would be good and successful at a lot of different things. And I think that's also due to the fact that they're so hardworking and they have so much ambition and they have that strong work ethic and self-discipline. I think that they could change their career multiple times and still find success. With school, I do think this is someone who's quite well educated. You know, they could have their bachelor's, their master's, their PhD, you know, or whatever higher level of education, you know, exists in your country where you're living. I think this person could be quite well educated, very smart, or they're working in a field right now that requires some sort of higher level degree, training, certification, skill set. With artists here, they could be quite creative, and they could have sort of a talent in something, maybe not necessarily that is their career, although it could be. It could also be a side hustle or just a hobby that they have that if they were to pursue it as a career, they would find success in that. So maybe they're a musician. Sorry, I stumbled there. Maybe they're a musician, or maybe they're, you know, a painter, a sculptor. Maybe they're a writer, maybe they're a poet. We did get poet before, right? So something like that, anything creative. With children here, it could be that they work with children, maybe they really want to have children. This could be symbolizing that they'll make a great mother or father, a great parent. Yeah, and they could also be a kid at heart, you know, someone who has a very playful, lighthearted attitude towards life. With nutrition, maybe they work as a nutritionist, maybe they are a great cook, maybe they just eat very healthy and are very mindful of the foods that they eat. And with you're on the right path, I feel like this is just a separate message that they are on the right path towards meeting you and towards aligning with you. I feel like overall in their life, they're just doing really well, you know, and they're working on self-improvement and they're working on calling you in. This card represents how they perceive you. So how would your soulmate describe you? We have fire element. So they see you as someone who is very passionate, someone who is very driven, someone who is very creative, someone who's very charming and funny, maybe a little bit quirky, maybe someone who follows the beat of their own drum, someone who is sort of led by their heart. You know, we got that message before of you having this heart of gold. So you could be a Leo, a Sagittarius, or an Aries, or those could be significant placements in your birth chart. They don't have to be though. Again, this is just how your soulmate is perceiving you. And they could perceive you as also someone who lights up their life, someone who brings the sunlight back in. Again, that hope, that optimism that you're leading with, that is how your soulmate is also perceiving you. They notice that about you, and they like that. They like how sort of larger than life you are. They like how vibrant you are. They like how you have that glass half full kind of mentality, that, and not in a way that's, you know, sort of toxic positivity, just more of you try to look at it from a higher perspective and say like, okay, how is this serving me? How can I learn from this? And, you know, if something isn't meant for me, I'm going to let it go, because I know that I'm meant for so much more, and I know Spirit wouldn't take away something from me without having something better. And so again, it's that connection to Spirit, I think, that they also recognize in you. But again, they just see you as the sun. You know, they could see you as someone who's very nurturing, someone who's very loving. You know, the sun gives warmth. So they see that warmth in you. They see your fire. They could see you as someone who's very passionate. You know, someone who's willing to advocate for themselves and others. You know, you're not someone who's going to bite their tongue and see someone being mistreated without speaking up. You know, that kind of energy. And again, they could also see you as someone who's very artistic and creative, and maybe you bond over something like that. Maybe you bond over a mutual love of music or books or, you know, anything creative, even just popular culture in general. Even down to like your favorite TV shows, you know, stuff like that. Okay. This is representing what is currently going on in your soulmate's love life. So we already got some messages about that they're healing, but let's see what else we can find. Soulmate, yes, this is your soulmate. I feel like you're very close. You're very close to meeting your soulmate, okay? With this, yes, this is your soulmate. I also feel like when you meet them, there's going to be this level of certainty around it, especially because you're so spiritual and you're so intuitive. I'm picking up like a mystic kind of vibe from you, pile one, but I do think that because of this, you're going to know. You know, you're just going to know right away, like, yes, this is my person. This is the person I've been trying to call in. And that doesn't mean necessarily that when you meet your soulmate that, you know, they're going to be exactly everything you've ever wanted necessarily. Like, it's not like, it's not sort of like, the energy here isn't like you've written out a list and you've told the universe, this is the exact person that I want. I don't think that that's how you're calling in your soulmate. I think that you have said to the universe, I trust you. I want my soulmate. Whoever they are, I'm open to them. And so the universe is like bringing you in your soulmate. It's not like you've written out a list of like, this is my perfect person. You know, like you're not trying to manifest a specific sort of laundry list of what you want. It's more of like, again, like you put your full faith in the universe and you've said like, I trust you. Bring in my soulmate to me, please. And the universe has rewarded you for having that trust. You know, you're not trying to exert so much control over this. Like you've really let go. You've gone with the flow here and you've had patience. Okay. So, and this also, again, tells me that your soulmate is also trying to manifest you. Even if they're not into spirituality, they've just prayed for someone good and honest, you know? So we have self-love and we have building blocks. Self-love, accepting and loving yourself is key in either attracting or maintaining a healthy relationship. Focus on what makes you unique without comparing yourself to others. You are unconditionally loved by the universe. And we have building blocks. This card is a sign that you will attract a solid relationship. Already established relationships will be more stronger. Both of you are laying out an honest and genuine foundation. So I do think quite a lot of messages are coming out With this self-love card, I think this is sort of reiterating what we already know, that your soulmate is currently working on their healing. You know, they're recovering from either just disappointment in love in the past or a recent breakup, a recent ending. And so they're really focusing on loving themselves, filling up their own cup. You know, that healing waters card that we had. This is absolutely emphasizing that card again. With building blocks here, I think that you and your soulmate, when you come into union, both of you are going to be really mindful of how do you build a solid foundation for a relationship. And that's where that friendship energy comes forward. Like, you guys are really focused on having a relationship that is stable and secure. And I think that this is also indicating that this soulmate connection could absolutely lead to marriage or a long-term partnership. And I think this also demonstrates that your soulmate is willing to do the work. So when you come into union, they're willing to put forth the effort and match your effort in terms of building that solid connection. And I also think your soulmate has done this in the past, and again, it hasn't been reciprocated. So they're looking for someone who is wanting to build a life together. So yeah, I think that is what they're trying to attract, is someone who will build with them, and that is you, pile 1. Okay, lots of love story cards. These cards are describing the relationship between you and your soulmate when you get together. So we have differences here. I do think this could be an opposites attract dynamic here. Absolutely. Like, I think that you two are quite different from one another, and that's why you have a lot to learn from one another. Heartbreak. I think that you two are going to bond over sort of the challenges that you've been through in love in the past. And I do think that both of you could be coming out of heartbreak when you meet each other. You know, both of you are closing the book on a difficult chapter in your life, and that is going to help you guys both be emotionally vulnerable with one another. Because even if your past heartbreaks were quite different from one another, I do think you guys are going to bond and find common ground over, this is what we've been through and this is what we're both wanting now. I do think in terms of what you want in a relationship and your goals, that is where you align and where you are absolutely like sharing the same values. I just think in terms of personality, or maybe what you've been through in the past in terms of your heartbreak, maybe it's different. But again, like where it counts, you guys share the same values and you share the same goals. Codependency here. So a couple different messages here. This could be what you were needing to walk away from, this mindset of being dependent upon someone else. That could be something that maybe you guys both have had to walk away from. Maybe you guys have both have had to release that because you've had codependent relationships in the past. And codependency can talk about different things. You know, codependency could be financial, it could be emotional. So yes, that could be something that you've had to walk away from and release. I also think this could be just a reminder, like this connection is going to be quite intense as a soulmate connection. So just be mindful that as this is developing, you are still nurturing the other relationships in your life and you aren't putting the full force of your attention on this connection to where you're neglecting other areas of your life or other connections in your life. Because I do think you two are going to want to spend a lot of time together. Forgiveness. This could be someone from your past returning. That's not going to resonate for everyone, but this could be someone from your past. Now, also with forgiveness here, I think you two are both so mature. Like if there is a disagreement or a misunderstanding, like you're willing to apologize, you're willing to be accountable, you're willing to talk through it. I feel like communication is so strong with you two, such a positive aspect of your connection. We have self-love. This is the second time self-love has shown up. So I do think that when you come into union with your soulmate, both of you are going to be in a place where you really love yourself, you're really at ease, really comfortable with yourself. But I also think that you come to appreciate and know and understand and love yourself more deeply as a result of this connection as a result of this connection as it's happening. You know, we're not perfect people when we call in our soulmates or we call in a healthy relationship. You know, it's not about perfection. Like, you're still meant to grow. You're still meant to continue to learn. You know, it's just about being energetically aligned. And so I do think that this person is going to help you continue on your self-love journey. And we know they are currently on a self-love journey, right? So I think that you are also going to help them in that way too. Like, everything is very reciprocal here, very balanced. Romance. This is the second time you've gotten romance as well. So I do see your soulmate really being creative, you know, in terms of planning dates. I could see you also doing this. You know, we got that fire element for you. So I think there's just a lot of effort here, you know, like you guys surprise each other with gifts. You know, maybe you write each other love letters. Maybe you send each other sweet texts, you know. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of romance here. You know, there's flowers and, you know, traditionally romantic things, I think, are a part of your connection. Flirt. We got this in the very beginning with the Page of Swords, if you guys remember. So I do think that right off the bat, there's going to be a very flirtatious energy between you two. And I think it's going to continue as your connection grows and develops. I think that you two are always going to have a very playful energy together. And so, you know, maybe you guys like to tease each other, or you give each other compliments, or, you know, a lot of just verbal banter back and forth. You know, I think this is the energy of we have been together 10 years and we still are playful and fun together, you know? And freedom. Oh, I love to see this come out, especially because you had codependency earlier. So I do think that either this is representing your past and this is representing how this connection is going to make you feel, or this is something you're learning in this connection, is how to balance out togetherness as well as individualism, and not losing yourself in a connection and retaining your individuality while also coming together and creating this beautiful life together. So yes, I love to see that balance there. Everything here is about balance. This is a very healthy connection. All right, so let's get some months of the year for when you could be meeting this person. So when could pile 1 be meeting their soulmate? When could pile 1 be meeting their soulmate, please, Spirit? We have March. When could pile 1 be meeting their soulmate, please, Spirit? We have July. And we have May. So feel free to claim one or all of these messages. Bottom of the deck, we have October. I wasn't planning on taking bottom of the deck, but I was feeling called to take that. So October, March, July, or May. The way these months are pretty spread out, it makes me feel, honestly, there are so many opportunities for you to meet your future. I said future spouse, didn't I? Whoops. I meant to say soulmate. That could be signifying that you're going to marry this person. It could also honestly be that I film a lot of future spouse readings. But with soulmate here, it could be that you have multiple opportunities to meet your soulmate, and it's just a matter of you guys both energetically aligning. And, you know, with divine timing, nothing is set in stone. And I do think with Wheel of Fortune, there could be that it's meant to be a bit of a mystery, and maybe intentionally these months are spread out because you're not really meant to know when you come into union with your soulmate. So if you want to claim one of these months, you can. But honestly, with the energy that I'm picking up, it could happen any day, anytime. It's just a matter of energetic alignment. And I know that can be like frustrating, but it's all about patience and hope and faith and optimism for you all, pile 1. So pile 1, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. I would like to express so much gratitude towards everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see more soulmate readings on this channel. I'm happy to film more. And yeah, that's it. Take care, pile 1. Hi pile 2, welcome to your reading. So if you chose, you've been doing a great job considering all you've been up against. You are in the right place. Also, of course, if you chose the image in the thumbnail, that is also fine. You all have the 7 of Swords, the 3 of Swords, the 2 of Coins or the 2 of Pentacles. You have the King of Coins or the King of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the King of Cups, the Sun, and the Queen of Swords. So I chose the Kawaii Tarot for your group. I don't know, I was just picking up a very sweet, like wholesome energy from you, pile 2. So this is, and honestly, I kind of feel like Spirit wants to speak to you in a way that is very gentle. And so this is why this deck was calling out to me. And looking at your cards, as well as this message here, this message is from your soulmate's higher self and what they want you to know right now at the time of this reading. I understand like why this deck was calling out to me for your group, because with the 7 of Swords and the 3 of Swords next to each other, you all have been through a lot, and this could be something you're currently going through, or this could be talking about your past. But the 3 of Swords is a card of heartbreak, of loss, of grief, of disappointment. And next to the 7 of Swords, the 7 of Swords talks about betrayal, lies, deception, someone stealing something from us. And it doesn't have to be something physically they've stolen from us, although it could be. It can also talk about our energy, our love, our trust. You know, someone has stolen something from us, someone has deceived us. You know, you see these donuts here, and you see the swords being stolen from the little basket here. So it's something that someone is being sneaky about, you know, going behind our back, betraying us in some way. And so next to each other here, yeah, I mean, you have been mistreated, and this doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, you know. This could be talking about family or friends, anyone that you put your trust and your faith in, and you've been deceived and you've had your heart broken. And this could be talking about multiple betrayals, or it could be talking about one person who really, you know, screwed you over. And so I think that because of that, everything that you've been up against, it's talking about this. And so it feels like Spirit just wants to say, like, before we get into all of this, we just want to say you're doing a good job, and you know, you've been doing really well with trying to balance out your responsibilities and keeping yourself afloat while also healing and taking care of yourself. And we just want to acknowledge that you right now, pile 2, are doing a great job. Like, they just want you to know that. And I think part of this is maybe you've been worried that you're not handling all of this really well, and maybe you've been fearing that maybe some negative attitudes that you have towards love and relationships has been affected by this pain and this betrayal, and you're worried that you won't be able to call in your soulmate because of this past hurt. And maybe there's some residual pain there, and you're worried that until you've completed your healing journey and you've resolved this, you won't be able to call in your soulmate. And it feels like Spirit is saying, hold on a second. Like, you going through all of this, you need to stop sort of viewing it as sort of like the past pulling you back, and sort of focus on, how did my past prepare me for my soulmate? How can I learn from this? And maybe stop beating yourself up. Like if the feeling comes up, especially if you feel like you cleared it, and maybe one day out of the blue, you're reminded of it, something triggers you to this memory and you feel that full force of heartbreak, of grief, of loss, of disappointment again. Or maybe you just feel this sort of loneliness and isolation that comes up and you're like, no, like I should be happy and content. I should be in the present moment. I should feel like I'm good on my own. Like I shouldn't ever feel lonely. Like I should be whole and complete by myself. And you know, I read this thing online. It was this quote, and it was saying that one of the meanest things that we do to people who are lonely is we tell them, you have to be good on your own. You have to be happy with yourself. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? And the thing is that lonely people are already very intimate with loneliness. Like they already know how to be alone. That's why they're lonely. Like they already know how to be alone. And there's nothing wrong with wanting human connection. And there's nothing wrong with seeking out intimacy and seeking out social connection. Like we're not meant to live in isolation. Like as human beings, we're very social creatures. And so if you feel lonely, that's not something to be ashamed of. And it doesn't mean that you don't love yourself. And if these painful memories come up from time to time, it doesn't mean that you haven't healed from it. You know, like it's okay. Like it's okay to feel how you feel and to honor that. And you shouldn't feel ashamed. You're handling this to the best of your ability. And that's all that's expected of you. You know, like you're doing a great job. And Spirit is saying, like, we know we have put you through the ringer, but it's only because you're so tough and you're so strong. And yeah, maybe a lot did need to be cleared out. But Spirit is saying, like, we think you're doing a great job. And I think all of these court cards here are representing different aspects of yourself and ways in which you have evolved, Pile 2. Like, Spirit is saying, like, you've done a really great job with your self-discipline and your ambition and your goals and your day-to-day routine and getting stuff done. Like you're doing a great job. King of Cups, you're doing a really great job managing your own emotions and doing it on your own. You're doing really great at riding the wave of all these obstacles. You're doing a great job of, you know, going with the flow and taking your losses in stride and rolling with the punches. And you know, the King of Cups is on his own. You know, he has no one around him. And he's buoyed by sort of like you can't see these dolphins, but they're there. They're beneath the surface. And I think those dolphins are representing Spirit here. And so you have Spirit walking beside you. You have Spirit riding these waves with you through all this turbulence, you know, these ships that are seeking to have you crash beneath the waves. And so, like, you're doing a great job at emotionally processing these things. And you may feel alone and you may feel lonely, but Spirit is holding your hand. Spirit is walking beside you, riding these waves with you. And you're doing an awesome job. Like, you're doing great at balancing out, focusing on your day-to-day and emotionally processing these difficult things that have happened. Queen of Swords, you're doing a great job at holding firm boundaries, speaking your truth, holding other people accountable, protecting yourself. You're doing a great job. The Sun, like you are on the right path towards happiness and optimism. And you see here, like you have the keys, you have the wisdom. And sort of like continuing to rely on your faith, that is really, really helping you here. Understanding that Spirit is with you. You know, you see the rainbow here, the sun, like you're on your way to that 10 of Cups, that emotional fulfillment. You are well on your way. And again, like they just want to tell you that you're doing a great job, you're doing everything right. And the only thing they would say is to go easy on yourself. Just go easy on yourself. Like, if you're having this anxiety that you're doing something wrong or that you're not on the right path, just let that go. because you are doing an awesome job, pile 2. All right, so let's get into your oracle now. So these 2 cards are representing what is going on currently in your soulmate's life. So we've talked about your life. Now we'll get into your soulmate's life. We have ground and center. And we have strength and resilience. So there is a little bit of mirroring here with strength and resilience. There's something going on in your soulmate's life where they're having to be strong, where they're having to follow their heart, where they're having to protect themselves. And also, the way she's casting her wand into the sky, it feels like, and ground and center here, it feels like your soulmate is having to make some significant choices, and those choices that they're making are causing significant changes in their life, and they're making those choices based upon their heart with the Leo energy here, but also with their intuition, and they're listening, they're going inward, they're meditating, they're following what in their gut feels right. So they're balancing out their heart with what feels like practical and good sense and feels like, yes, on a gut level, this feels right. Okay. These 2 cards are representing the overall themes of your connection with your soulmate, what your soulmate is adding to your life, what the dynamic will be between you. We have inspiration. Isis, goddess of magic, I ask thee to bring your inspiration to me. And we have harvest. As the waves of the ocean are infinite, as the trees in the forest grow tall, let my work now bring me to harvest. I am ready to receive my all. Feels like there could be a joint soul mission here. Maybe your soulmate is tied to your career in some way. Maybe you all are meant to start a business together. Maybe your partner, your future soulmate, is going to be a source of inspiration to you, a source of support and encouragement for you to follow your dreams. Or if you're already working on a project, it could be that somehow the success with that project is tied to you meeting your soulmate. You know, maybe you guys work in the same field. Could be something like that. I also just feel like in terms of like your dream life and what abundance means to you, you know, what does an abundant life look like to you? What does an inspiring life look like to you? The green here, your heart chakra, what lights your heart up? That is going to be called in as a result of this connection with your soulmate. Okay, these 2 cards are representing the overall dynamic between you and your soulmate. We have manifest, from thought to form, and we have risk, take a chance. It does feel like this is very much connected to your soul's purpose. And so, like, what are you being called to do? What are you being divinely guided to do? Like, I just feel like your soulmate is gonna make you feel so confident. Like, they're really just very supportive, very encouraging. And I think, especially if you've been put down a lot and made to feel like you were lesser than, like if what other people were stealing from you was your confidence, your sense of self-worth, like putting you down, and very sneaky, like backhanded compliments, you know, just trying to subtly degrade your sense of self-worth over time. That can happen absolutely with family, friends, partners. It feels like your soulmate makes you feel invincible. They make you feel like you're on top of the world. And yeah, it feels like they're your biggest fan, your biggest supporter. And so that support just makes you feel like you can do anything, like risk and manifest, like you can call in anything. You can take that leap of faith. That full card energy, like you feel so optimistic when you're around them. Like they just make you feel so good. They make you feel so good. And they make you feel like you, again, like you can achieve anything you want to do. And it could be that your soulmate is in a very like secure energy within themselves, and so they don't feel the need to put you down like other people have put you down in the past. And we know that you're working on yourself, right? Like you had 3 court cards that were very empowered energies. So like it feels like you're getting someone who is confident within themselves and doesn't feel the need to tear you down, and if anything, they build you up. And I think you build them up too. Like I think you guys are both going to meet each other at a point in time where you do feel confident and you do feel secure, and so you build each other up rather than tear each other down, and you don't project your insecurities onto the other person. And again, feels like, you know, you could find a lot of financial success, a lot of abundance in your life. Again, whatever abundance means to you, you could be in alignment with your soul's purpose as a result of meeting your soulmate. There's something there about them being tied to your soul's purpose and your abundance. Okay, this card is representing the archetype that you perceive your soulmate as. We have Father. So they could be coming forth as a divine masculine. So we're just talking about energy here. We're not talking about gender. I just want to give that disclaimer. But we have talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. I almost said union. Yes, talent for creating and supporting life. Like we just talked about that, right? Like someone who is very encouraging, someone who makes you feel like you can do anything, someone who would give you like practical, good advice, someone who would give you words of wisdom without making you feel incompetent or putting you down in any way. Like, and I think also as like an ultimate divine masculine energy, they would be very inspiring to you. You know, your soulmate could be someone who's quite successful, and so you look up to them maybe in sort of a dynamic of being a mentor, or like, wow, like they're really successful, like I want to get to that level. And so, and because they're so supportive and so encouraging, it doesn't make you feel like there's a power imbalance. You know, they still treat you as an equal and they see potential within you, and so it doesn't feel like they're putting you down in any way. It just feels very supportive and very nurturing. Okay, these are the most positive aspects of your soulmate's personality, of their character. We have, I do the best that I can, and I benefit with gratitude. So it could be that maybe your soulmate comes from a privileged background, whereas maybe you're more self-made, and so maybe that's why there's a discrepancy in your success level. Like maybe they're more advanced in their career or their material abundance because they come from a more privileged place, but they recognize and acknowledge their privilege, and that's why they don't judge you for maybe being, you know, less, maybe not quite as advanced as they are, because they recognize that you had to earn everything from scratch, whereas they came again from this privileged background. I think also though, just in general, your soulmate is someone who's very grateful and appreciative for everything they have in their life, and they'll be very grateful as well for everything that you do for them. You know, they're going to be very appreciative of you, and they're going to express gratitude for what you bring to the connection. And they're, again, like, they're not going to make you feel like there's a power imbalance or they don't recognize or appreciate what you bring to the table, pile two. But I do the best that I can. It feels like your soulmate is someone who puts forth a lot of effort into everything that they want to do. Like they really want to be successful. Like success is so important to them, and so they carry that energy into their work, but they also carry that energy into their connection and relationship with you. And so this is someone who's going to put in the work, someone who's going to put in the time and the effort and put in their best into everything that they do. And so yeah, maybe sometimes they overwork or overextend themselves, but it's from a very, I'm sorry, I'm sniffly today. It's from a very like well-intentioned place, you know, like they just want to give 100% all the time into everything that they do. So they're very hardworking, very ambitious. You can see why they came forth with that father archetype, that divine masculine energy. Yeah. And I think as well, like, they're so confident and they really believe in themselves, and they're someone who has always thought that if they put their mind to something, if they put in their effort, they can achieve whatever they want to do. And, you know, it probably comes from them having a background of family that was very supportive and loving. And I don't know necessarily, Pile 2, that you were encouraged or supported in that way. Like maybe you had a narcissistic parent, or maybe you had an unstable childhood, or maybe you just came from a place of, you know, getting out of a difficult relationship where you were put down a lot. You know, it's going to vary. It's a general reading, but I do think you've had people in your life who wanted to tear you down because they were intimidated by your potential and they were projecting their own insecurities onto you. And kind of like the energy of a sheep, kind of the energy of a lion who was raised by sheep, because they were intimidated and they didn't want you to recognize your power. They didn't want you to see the lion that you were. Whereas your soulmate is someone who doesn't have those insecurity issues and isn't going to be intimidated by your potential, and is going to support you and nurture you and encourage you to be your best, because they want you to be your best, you know, like they want the best for everyone, you know? They're not an insecure person. Okay, so these cards are talking about what your soulmate could do for a career, or a career path that they would be good at. We have animals, we have justice, we have environmentalist, and we have books. Okay, so quite a number of things here. Your soulmate could be someone who really enjoys being outdoors, or they could do something in relationship to the environment or animals as a career. So maybe they're like a veterinarian, you know, something like that. Could also be, though, again, like maybe they have a pet, or maybe they have multiple pets that they really, really love. Maybe that's something that you bond over, you know, like your love for animals. Again, like I think that they enjoy spending a lot of time outdoors, even if that isn't something they do for a career. Maybe that's just something that they really enjoy. So maybe they like to go hiking on the weekends, or they like to go bike riding, or maybe they're really connected to the water. They like to surf. They like to go kayaking, you know, anything outdoors. Maybe they just really like to be out in nature. We did get ground and center before, so I feel like that's how they really I feel like that's how they handle their busy, hectic schedule, is they make time to get out into nature and to reset. You know, I think they make their best decisions when they're out in nature, and they can connect with Mother Gaia, even if that's not necessarily like something they're intentionally doing, but just getting out into nature and the peace and quiet. I feel like that's when they make their best decisions, and I think they're aware of that. I think they know that about themselves. This person has a lot of self-awareness, I will say that. With justice, they could do anything involving the criminal justice system. They could do something like social work, or they could develop policies that help people from a social justice point of view, or something that helps the environment, helps animals. You know, they could be involved in policy making, things like that. Also, though, I feel like this person is just a great advocate, and this person has a really strong idea of what is right and what is wrong. And so that can be both good and bad, right? Like we all have our positive attributes and our shadow attributes. So I think on one hand, this person has a moral compass, a moral code that they follow, and they try to do what they think is best. But on the flip side of that, because they have these strong values, maybe sometimes they're a bit rigid in their thinking, and they're not willing to compromise what they think is right or what they think is truthful. So that goes both ways, you know. They're not wishy-washy, they're not swayed by what is popular or what is trendy or what other people are telling them to believe. And you know, they have a strong sense of self. But on the other hand, you know, they're not very flexible, you know, they're very rigid in like what they think is right and what they think is wrong. Also, they could like to read a lot. Maybe they're a librarian. Maybe they read a lot for their work, or they have to study a lot for their work. They could be a writer. They could be someone who's like a professor, or they could do something that requires like continuing education. Like, I would assume veterinarians or anyone working in the medical field has to do continuing education. Social workers have continuing education. Any professional skilled job has this continuing education that they have to do, right? They have to keep up licensures. They have to be up to date. Like if they are a veterinarian, they would have to be up to date on best treatments or new treatments for animals who are sick, you know, or chronic diseases in animals. What is the best practice for treating these illnesses? You know, as more research is known, like what is now the best treatment plan for an animal that is sick with this disease, you know, things like that. Also, like if they worked in something related to social justice, that would require a lot of research and a lot of study as well. So yeah, I think a lot of this lines up. Okay, so now this card is representing how your soulmate perceives you. How do they view you? This was probably the best card that you could have gotten from this deck. This says always. So your soulmate's being very cute and very sweet here. They're saying that they perceive you as their divine counterpart. They perceive you as their other half. And so I think like because they're presenting as that divine masculine with the father card, they would see you as the divine feminine. They would see you as someone who's very loving, very nurturing, someone who is very receptive, you know, someone who's very open, someone who is very kind, and someone who is very like gentle in their approach, you know, someone who isn't like trying to enforce or impose their will upon other people, you know, someone who is very like receptive to the opinions of others. So like, whereas they would be more rigid, you would be more flexible, you know, like you guys just balance each other out, I think is really the message that they're wanting to come forward with, but also that they see you as their forever person. So this would be absolutely representing like someone that they would see as marriage material. And I do think your soulmate is quite traditional. So they would definitely be someone who would want to get married, someone who would want to start a family or have a long-term partnership. Okay, I didn't ask for any specific message here, so we'll see what this says. Oh my goodness, 2 cards talking about commitment. Okay, this says hand fastings. The poles pulse through all that I am. No hidden form is left untouched. I am willing, I am risking, for I yearn for unity spilled lustrously upon my lips. Okay. This really feels like this is it. Like this, it has this energy of being the one, you know? And I mean, you don't necessarily like marry your soulmate, right? Like spirit can bring you two together, but we still have free will, right? Like you can still say no to your soulmate. So it feels like your soulmate is saying like, I'm saying yes to you. Like when we meet, if you haven't already met this person, like when we meet, this is it. Like you're the one. Like I'm not looking any further. Like this is it for me. And I'm completely open to this connection. Like this is someone who makes very clear, decisive decisions. You know, again, like this person isn't wishy-washy. Like they're very clear about what they want. And when they decide that they want to do something, they put the full force of their effort into it. And so like your person is committed to making your relationship a success. So your soulmate is absolutely 100% like dedicated to making this work and committing to you. And with hand fasting and always, like the idea of like a complete circle, like they feel like the sum of everything that they've been to has been culminating in this, and like you are sort of representing this happy ending. Like this is both the ending and the start to everything. You know, like you represent the happy ending, the culmination of everything that they've been through, but you also represent this beautiful new start, this new chapter, someone that they can build a life with. So yeah, very beautiful energy. Okay. These cards are representing what is currently happening in your soulmate's love life. So we have true love. The person you have in mind has pure love and good intentions for you. This person really loves you from the bottom of their heart. This relationship is based on genuine feelings for one another. So either you already know your soulmate, or when you guys come into union, it is going to be true love. Your soulmate is trying to call in true love to them. This is what they're wanting. You know, like they are ready for their person. They're not interested in casual dating or short-term flings is what I'm trying to say. They are ready for true love. We have honeymoon. This card stands for the pure energy of romance, affection, and bliss. You will soon experience these energies no matter if you're single or in a long-term relationship. So either some of you already know your soulmate or you are very close to meeting them, and this is representing like what it's going to feel like when you come into union. Manifest your soulmate. Okay, yeah, they are actively manifesting this. Like this is what they want. Oh, and this just says, light a pink candle while you visualize your soulmate. Prayers and wishes are very important for you now. This card also indicates that your manifestation will come to you really soon. Oh, come into your reality soon. Yeah, like you are meeting them soon. This doesn't feel like something that's far off into the distance. Now remember, soon in terms of the universe's timeline can always look a little bit different, but I always feel like it's safe to say 6 months to a year would be the longest, because I interpret soon as being less than a year. So soon could be in 2 weeks, it could be in 3 months, but I definitely think it is within the year. We have, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner that you seek. Yeah, a lot of you already know this person. Or you'll, again, like know them very soon. You'll know them very soon. We have codependencies. Codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. And we have very soon. Clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. Okay, so some of you are falling into the category that you already know this person. Others of you are going to be meeting them very soon. With codependency here in the middle, I do think that maybe this is something that they've had to work on, is being overly dependent upon other people. I've been getting this vibe from them that they're so independent, and so I think that this is an energy that they have cleared, but how it's coming across to me isn't that your soulmate has been anxiously attached. I think in the past they have attracted partners that were anxiously attached, and that made them respond in a way that felt avoidant, just because I think I said future spouse again, I'm sorry. Your soulmate's energy is very independent, and so I think they felt maybe controlled in the past, or like tied down or held down. And so they've had to come to this place of understanding like what a healthy balance connection looks like, and the understanding that commitment doesn't mean feeling trapped, and they're willing to commit now, and they're understanding that they were choosing partners in the past who were controlling, who were manipulative, who were trying to keep them in a box because they were worried that your soulmate was going to stray or something like that. You know, they weren't trusting, and that made your soulmate feel understandably suffocated. And so I feel like, you know, your soulmate is now at a place where they understand the difference between codependency and commitment. and they're calling in you. And so if you know that you've had issues with this in the past, maybe this is the final thing that needs to be cleared, because your soulmate is absolutely not wanting this. They've been there, they've done that. Okay. These cards are representing the dynamic between in your romantic relationship with your soulmate. So once you come into union, what will the dynamic be like between you? We have hope. I feel like this person is everything you've been hoping for, everything you've been wanting, and that is a mutual feeling. I also feel like they just represent such a brighter, like that new chapter, you know, like a fresh start. You know, like you see so much more opportunity in your life as a result of meeting this person. And I think that's also because they are connected to your soul's purpose in some way. Healing. I think that especially if this has been a problem in the past, this connection is going to be very healing, very nurturing. I think it's going to help you resolve these old wounds, absolutely. And I think that you're just gonna feel loved, you know? I think you're going to feel loved in a way that you've never experienced before, and it's just going to feel so wholesome and so honest and so pure. Maturity. Yeah, I feel like you guys are both very grown up. And if this is someone you knew in the past, maybe you guys have grown up, and so now you're coming back together having learned your lessons. But for others of you, this is just representing that both you and your soulmate have been through a lot, and you guys are ready for this connection, and you guys are both going to put in mutual effort. You're going to be mutually respectful of one another, and it's just going to be a very healthy connection. Chemistry. Lots of chemistry, lots of fire, passion between you two. Mystery. Mystery. Some of you don't know this person yet. You know, you guys are falling into two different categories here. But I also think that it's going to be, even if you do know this person, I think they have changed and grown up a lot to the point to where you might not even recognize them. Not like physically recognize them, but like emotionally in terms of their personality. Like you're like, wow, this person is so different. But also I think there's a little bit of mystery in how you two come together, but also mystery in terms of they keep you guessing, like things are fun, things are exciting, things are different. And I think that's because you put effort, both of you put effort into maintaining this chemistry and being spontaneous and keeping things exciting, keeping things romantic. Memories. You're gonna share a lot of quality time together, and that could be a love language for one or both of you, but I think you're really going to value the memories that you create together and the experiences that you share together. All right, pile 2, let's end your reading with finding out months of the year that you could be meeting this person. If you feel like you've already met them, you guys can skip this part. All right, pile 2, when will you meet your soulmate? We've got July. When will pile 2 meet their soulmate? We've got February. When can pile 2 be meeting their soulmate? We've got January. Bottom of the deck, we have August. So maybe right around the corner. So feel free to claim more than one of these messages. You know, like if you want to meet in August, but you want to be in a relationship by January, or you want to claim all of these as potential months because you want all the opportunities to meet this person. Or if this message is calling to you, you can claim this message, whatever you want to do. I would post it in the comments as a way to claim it. But yeah, pile 2, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. I would like to express so much gratitude to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. I will see you guys in my next one, pile 2. Also, if you want to see more soulmate readings, just comment down below and let me know. But otherwise, take care. I will see you in my next one. Hi Pile 3, welcome to your reading. So your message from your soulmate's higher self says your speed doesn't matter, forward is forward. So if you're feeling kind of like you're stuck, like things aren't changing as fast as you would like them to, you're just feeling kind of stagnant, just understand that everything that you're doing right now, even if you're not seeing massive changes happen, that change is going to add up over time. And your soulmate just wants you to be sort of patient and kind to yourself. This doesn't necessarily have to be about love, just in general. Like, just keep moving forward, keep trying your best. You will get to where you want to go. Okay. Now, I chose the Green Witch Tarot for your group. I didn't use this deck for any other group today. So this could be representing that your soulmate is someone who is very outdoorsy, or someone, or even this could be your energy, like it could be either way. Like maybe you're someone who's really connected with the outdoors, you like being outside, you're connected to nature, to animals. Maybe this is something mutual that you and your soulmate both share. But also, I kind of feel like, given the fact that it's the Green Witch Tarot and we have this, your speed doesn't matter, forward is forward, like I feel like in terms of witchcraft, like it's very intentional, right? Like if you're doing spell work, even if you're not familiar with it, like I feel like in general, like with spell work, there is many steps, right? Like you have to be very intentional. You have to collect these different items and put it all together and set an intention and be very decisive about your spell and like what you're trying to call in and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. It's very deliberate is the word I'm looking for. And so, this could be sort of that overall energy with this card of like, just keep taking your time, keep being deliberate, keep being intentional about what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. That could just be an overall message for you, Pile 3. Now, let's get into your tarot now that we've discussed that. We have the 8 of Cups. We have the 3 of Swords. We have the 10 of Swords. We have the Knight of Swords, the 9 of Cups, the 9 of Pentacles, the High Priest, and the Ace of Swords. So, some repeating themes here, right? Like we have a lot of Swords energy. We have quite a lot of Cups energy. We have repeating nines, and it's a lot. I kind of see why you were drawn to this card and why your soulmate sent you this message, because man, like you were in the thick of some very, very heavy energy, and where you feel like you are now does feel quite far away from where you want to be. Now, remember, that's how you're perceiving it. It's not necessarily true. Like we see overnight success stories, we see miracles happen all the time. But you, I think, mentally feel very far from where you want to be. And that's because you're looking at these 8 of Cups and you're seeing how they're not fulfilling you. You're seeing how they're not enough. You know you need to walk away. And it feels like you're feeling stuck, like you're trying to walk away, but you don't know how. You don't know how to get yourself out of this situation. And what you're trying to do isn't creating that financial success or isn't giving you the emotional stability. Whatever it is that you're working on isn't creating the means that you need to walk away from these 8 of Cups that you know you want to walk away from. So this could look like a lot of different things. Like maybe you are not happy with where you're living, or you are financially tied to a connection you don't want to be tied to, or you're living in a place that you can't stand but you can't afford to move where you want to move, something like that. And so maybe you're working on a project and you're hoping this is going to bring you the financial means to leave where you're not happy, but you're not able to do so because you haven't seen that material success come in yet. Something like that. That's just an example, but it's going to get you to start thinking about how this could apply to your life. Now, I do see, again, like mentally, emotionally, The Ten of Swords, like, you've been unhappy for quite some time. Like, this is, you've encountered so much hurt, heartbreak, loss, grief, disappointment with the Three of Swords that you are now at a place of apathy. Like, you have gotten comfortable with the discomfort. You have gotten, it's sort of like your loneliness, your sadness, your grief, your loss, your disappointment has become like an old friend. Like, you're just used to it, and kind of like the pain that was once sharp has now dulled to, this is my daily life. This is something that I live with. This is something that I come home to every evening, and I sit with my pain. I sit with my loss. I sit with my disappointment. And, you know, you've just gotten used to it, you know? You've become intimately familiar with your sadness and your loneliness. And where you're trying to get is this Nine of Cups. Like, you're trying to get to a place of wish fulfillment. Nine of Pentacles, you're trying to get to a place of financial abundance and security. You know, you're trying to get to a place to where you have partnership, where maybe you have children, where you don't feel so alone, where you do have your dreams, your needs met. And I think you're quite spiritual. I feel like you've been on a spiritual journey, and you're just trying to trust and believe that miracles do happen, and that there is a divine plan, and there is a reason for you going through all of this, you know, and you're just trying to have faith, have optimism that things will get better. And it feels like you are going to receive a message soon. With the Ace of Swords and the Knight of Swords, someone is rushing forward to give you some sort of message. Or maybe someone has given you a message, but you haven't responded to it, and this is calling you to respond to that message. If there's a message that you've been sitting on, respond to it. Like, someone has reached out to you, you need to answer that message, especially if it was from someone out of the blue. Or, again, this is representing like you receiving a message soon, or maybe you're receiving divine guidance and epiphany from the universe that's going to give you that sort of pathway out of your current situation that you're not currently seeing. You know, so just take whatever resonates. But yes, like, there is some sort of news, information, message coming to you that is going to be helpful. Okay, let's get into your oracle now. These two cards are representing what is currently happening in your soulmate's life. So this is what's happening for you. This is what's happening in your soulmate's life currently. We have learn from life, and we have affirmation for acceptance. So this card always makes me think of the Wheel of Fortune. I mean, it says fate on her book, and we see the dice, right? And we see the crows, which I typically think of as spirituality, divine guidance, and then we have the tornado, an act of nature, right? Something that's unexpected. And so something that's outside of our immediate control, right? There is something happening currently in your soulmate's life. Something unexpected, something divinely guided, some sort of divine intervention that is pushing them out of what they have known and encouraging them to leave their place of comfort, leave behind all their planning, and just go for it. There's something that they are meant to be leaving behind, and they are meant to go out into the world and have some sort of experience. So maybe they're being called to travel. Maybe they're being called to start leave their job and start something new. They're being called to get out of their comfort zone, leave behind all their carefully detailed plans, and just learn from life. And there's something that is pushing them to do this. And this, I think, is going to be leading them to you, pile 3. I actually have these cards a little bit out of order. I'm going to pull these first. So these cards are representing what your soulmate is going to add to your life, the dynamic between you two, the overall themes of your connection with your soulmate. We have fertility. Let all take root, seed and sprout. Let new life be all about. We have grace. Grace, blessing, come to me to set me free. And we have passion. Passion, rise up high, inflame my purpose, reach the sky. So passion and fertility. You could absolutely be starting a family with this person. You could have children together. You could also be working on something that you guys are both equally passionate about. So maybe you're starting a business together, but there's something that you're creating together with fertility. You are birthing something into the world, whether it's children, whether it's a business venture, but there is something that you are creating together that you guys are both very passionate about. Also, physical intimacy is a major part of your connection. So maybe your love language is physical touch, maybe their love language is physical touch. Maybe you're just going to know a level of physical intimacy with them that you haven't really ever had before, ever experienced before. With Grace, I feel like you all are both going to sort of reach this level of spiritual maturity together where those unforeseen circumstances, those challenges, those life events that we all encounter, you guys are both going to meet them as a team. And it's almost like everything that is unexpected, any changes that come up, any challenges, are going to be met with grace because you feel like you have a partner that you can rely upon, that you can depend upon. And so even when you're met with challenges, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't affect you as deeply as it may have before because you feel like you have someone to hold your hand, you feel like you have a partner, someone that is reliable and dependable. You don't feel like you're on your own anymore, which is nice. Okay. This card is representing the archetype that you are viewing your soulmate as. So we have Hermit. Seek solitude to focus intently on their inner life. Serves personal creativity. Okay. This could definitely be representing now, like maybe you guys are mirroring each other and your soulmate is also in this energy. If you didn't feel like you were in this energy, this could have been your soulmate as well, I will say that. But with this Hermit card, your soulmate could be someone who is more of a home buddy, and that could also make a lot of sense, like your soulmate being pushed to get out of their comfort zone and to get out of the house and leave behind like all of their deep like personal self-reflections and plans and just learn from life and go with the flow. Like that could absolutely be your soulmate coming out of their comfort zone, like again, maybe they're a home buddy. They could be a very spiritual person, a very self-reflective person. This is Virgo energy. This is someone who likes to plan, someone who's more cautious, someone who tries to make decisions that are well thought out. They're not someone who is impulsive. So, you could be adding some of that fire to their life, or even just encouraging them to get out of their comfort zone. But I definitely think that your soulmate is someone who is very spiritual, someone who is very knowledgeable, someone who is very smart, very intelligent, someone who also is very creative, someone who's very in tune with themselves, someone who would represent sort of the mystic energy. So they could be into like tarot cards, or they could be into occult related things like astrology. Yeah, I think that's all I'm getting from this Hermit card. Definitely someone who's more introverted, but the Hermit card is also like major arcana in the tarot. Like this is someone who is very empowered, someone who's very evolved, someone who knows themselves and knows how they relate to the world and their place in the world, and someone who would be connected to their divine purpose. And also someone who has had to be alone and rely upon themselves, and someone who has been through their fair share of challenges, and someone who has really worked on their personal self-development. This is a very mature person. This is someone who knows themselves and knows themselves very deeply. Okay. So these two cards are representing the overall dynamic between you and your soulmate. We have Instigator, gotta start something. And we have Safety, find your pocket. I love the balance between these two cards because it feels like your soulmate is someone who makes you feel very safe, secure, grounded, rooted, someone who feels like a warm hug. But then on the other, and you give that energy back to your soulmate. But then on the other side of that, you guys push each other, you challenge each other, you encourage each other to grow, to get out of your comfort zone. So I think your soulmate will be encouraging you towards self-reflection, emotional intimacy, vulnerability, spirituality, and you could be pushing your soulmate towards getting out of their comfort zone, trying new things, being more action-oriented, don't overthink things, just go for it, just do it, just try it, encouraging them to just get out of their shell more, I would say. So yeah, I think you guys are going to push each other and you're going to grow. You're going to grow in a lot of ways. And I think that's what encourages that passion, because you do have these differences, and so that creates a little bit of push and pull, that sexual tension, that's where that comes from. If you were with someone who is the exact same as you, that could get a bit boring. Okay, so let's, again, these are kind of out of order, so I'm just going to grab these cards. Okay. So these cards are representing the most positive attributes of your soulmate. I was called to pull more cards than I did for the other two groups. For the other two groups, I only got like 2 cards. So I just think your soulmate is someone who is very, very special. Okay. We have I honor animals with reverence. So we were picking that up in the very beginning with the Green Witch Tarot, right? Like they're very connected. They have an appreciation for nature and animals, especially animals though. So they could have a pet that they really, really love, that they treat like a child. They could have multiple pets. They could just have a good energy with animals. Animals just really respond to them. Like when they go over to someone's house, like their dog immediately loves them, or their cat really immediately loves them, or, like butterflies will land on their arm when they're outside, things like that. But I think that they just really have an appreciation and a respect for animals. They feel very connected to animals. We have I listen to opposing opinions. That's definitely the Hermit card energy. Like this is someone who's very philosophical, someone who has this deep thirst for knowledge, and someone who wants to understand the world around them, and someone who is open to spiritual beliefs and practices and things that are different to them, or that are different than what society tells you should believe in. This person is very, just very open, very open. And that's what a lot of spirituality is being open to things that you can't see or that you can't prove. And so if you're someone who's more like scientific and believes with evidence, this could be like where you guys learn from each other. And, I think you would be quite curious about their spiritual beliefs and practices. And again, like how open they are to faith and things that are unseen or things that are unknowable. I spread joy. I think they just have like a very pure, there's a very sweet, sweet energy here to them. So sweet. But yeah, I think this is what they really want to do. Like they just want to spread joy, like they don't want to be someone who is draining. And I think with the Hermit card, like they really take care of themselves. And so because they do that, they don't drain other people. They don't expect other people to provide for them what they need. And I think they're very protective of their own energy. I relate a lot to the Hermit card because I'm in my personal year 7. So I've been in the Hermit energy. If you know anything about numerology, I only know a little bit. But I've been in my personal year 7 this whole year. And so I've become very intimately familiar with the Hermit card energy myself. So yeah, I feel a connection to your soulmate in that manner. We have, I offer words of good intent. I think they're very mindful when they speak. Very mindful when they speak. I kind of feel like this person would make like a good therapist or something like that. Yeah, I feel like they're just very careful and mindful of their words, and they understand the power of language, and they have a reverence for language. Especially with the Hermit card energy, this could be someone who reads a lot, or again, just someone who has a real value for language, a real appreciation for the power of words. And then we have, I am open to love in various forms. I feel like your soulmate is someone who really values love in its whole and complete form. Like, I feel like society really pushes us towards valuing romantic love, but I feel like your soulmate, because they have that Hermit energy about them, like they see what they value because that's what they value in their heart, and they don't value something because society says this is how you should think or believe or value, you know? So I feel like your soulmate would value their friendships, their platonic relationships, just as much as they would value their romantic connection, or they would value their connection with their pet as equally as they value their connection with their other loved ones, you know? Like, they accept love in more forms than just romantic love. You know, they value love in its whole and complete form. And they value self-love just as equally. Okay. I didn't ask any specific questions with these cards. I just pulled them. So we have ribbons. For it lives in the silk of my binding, the knots in my truth, the eye of becoming, the witness swallowed in stillness. This is the red thread of fate right here, all of this. So it's not surprising that a card like this would come up in a soulmate reading, but I do think that there is a very spiritual connection here. Like, you could have dreamed about this person, they could have dreamed of you, you could communicate with each other through dreams. This is the sort of strong spiritual connection where you could speak aloud to like your soulmate's higher self and communicate with them even when you're apart, even when you haven't met yet. You know, you could, and they, because they're so spiritual, they could be sending you messages and signs even now. Like, they would absolutely be the type of person to be like, my soulmate's higher self sending you good vibes these days. I'm wishing you a good day. I'm wishing you clarity. I'm wishing you support and love right now in your life. You know, like, they would send good intentions your way before you even meet. And that's why in the beginning too, like when we got the Ace of Swords and that idea of a message coming through, I feel like that is signifying this as well. We have sacrifice. You must find the ebb and flow of life within your very self. Embracing it all is embracing the truth. I feel like this connection is really going to teach you what love is. I don't feel like you've ever experienced love to this degree before. This is a little graphic, so I'm going to cover it up. But I don't think you've ever experienced love to this level before. And so I do feel like this is a very intense connection. I think it could maybe even be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. I feel like this connection is very divinely guided. Like, you see the phases of the moon, like you see the tree, you see the heart, you see the blood as the roots. Like, it's very, very intense. But I think this person is going to light something up in your heart that has never, like, you've never felt this level of intimacy. You've never felt this level of love and affection and support before. Like, this feels as close as unconditional love as you could possibly get. And I think that's why I've gotten extra cards for your group, because it's just such an intense level soulmate, like so intense. And I think also here, there's a real capacity here for growth and creation. You did get the fertility card before, so there's a lot here about the family tree even, and creating a legacy. And maybe if you're wanting children with this person, your children could go on to do quite incredible, significant things in this world. Yes, let's see. Any other messages that I'm getting from this? There's also this sort of feeling of completion here, you know, and understanding that, kind of that saying where, you know, even the moon has to go through periods of emptiness to be full again, like the phases of the moon. Like, I feel like this person's going to have a really positive influence on you because they're so spiritual and so connected, where it's almost like they're connected to the mystical and you're connected to Mother Gaia and nature and groundedness. And you guys sort of meet in the middle, and there's enough shared values there where it just becomes this very beautiful union between like the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. Like, it feels like this beautiful, beautiful union of divine masculine and feminine. And remember, just talking about energy, we're not talking about gender, but it just feels very whole and very complete. And again, like, you learn a lot from each other. Oh my gosh, we have creation again. Through the darkness I crossed, and still I found myself in the presence of life. Yeah, you're absolutely meant to create something. You're absolutely meant to create something very beautiful together. So whether that's a family or a business venture, there's a lot here about creation. And then we have Maypole. I am fertile. So much about fertility. Like, you've gotten fertility, I would say 3 times now. I am fertile in what I seed, for there is reason to dance and drink upon the riches I receive. So yes, whether it's family, children, money, abundance, everything feels very full and rich. Like, there's so much that you all have the potential to create together. Yeah, and there feels like a sense of like easiness, of laughter, of celebration. Like, you two will have so much to celebrate, whether that's baby showers and births, or financial goals, or both. Like, there's a lot here to celebrate. There's a lot of growth here. These cards are representing how your soulmate would describe you. Again, I got a lot of extra cards. Okay, so let's find these out. We have too many dragons. So I do feel like your soulmate views you as someone who is very busy, someone who has a lot going on in their life, someone who's juggling a lot of projects, or someone who just has like a very structured routine, or like really organizes their time because they have so much going on. They could see you as someone who's very goal-oriented, again, someone who has a lot of ambitions. They may see you as sometimes maybe being too busy for them. They also could see you as someone who has a lot of options in love, or someone who is very attractive, someone who has a lot of, you know, people vying for your attention. Your soulmate has a sense of humor with trouble. This is funny. This could be representing like how you are shaking up their life. Like, again, I think your soulmate definitely has a sense of humor, but I think that you are going to change their life in very significant ways, and that's why they're saying, like, kind of winking at us, like, yeah, they're trouble. Like, they're completely changing my life. Like, they are shaking up, and they're maybe what is forcing that 8 of Cups, like leaving behind what is making them so unhappy, if that's your soulmate's energy, if you guys are mirroring each other even. But yeah, trouble, like you're shaking things up in their life. Also, that could be like a little bit of nod to that physical intimacy that you all will share. Attitude, this is funny as well. I do think that you guys, because you have these differences, you might like to fuss with each other, or like banter back and forth, or like nag each other a little bit, but I think it's all in good fun. Like, you like to joke around and tease each other, and so like you know, you guys might be a little bit sassy with each other and you guys like that dynamic. And maybe other people around you are like, are they fussing? Are they arguing? But really you guys are just messing around with each other, and it's kind of the way that you flirt, almost kind of like foreplay together. All right, and then we have winter. Okay, so several different messages with this card coming out. So this could be representing that you all will meet each other in the winter season. Could also be representing the fact that kind of like when I think winter is sometimes a very misunderstood season. I think I like winter so much because it's what you make of it, you know? And so it could be representing like maybe you all misunderstand each other, maybe there's a false start in your connection with one another in the beginning. Could also be representing like maybe one of you is more reserved or cold in the beginning, but I also think more than that, you guys could be meeting in the winter season. Also, the winter is what you make of it. So when I think of winter, I don't think of cold. You know, I think of togetherness. I think of memories. I think of all the holidays we celebrate in the winter season. And I think of the potential that exists in winter, right? Like, it's a fresh, clean slate. You know spring is coming. You know spring is next. So it's a time for reflection. It's a time for setting intentions and thinking about what you want to work on in the spring. It's a time for coziness, of cuddling up with someone that you love. It's a time for, you know, like putting up twinkle lights and putting up decorations for the holidays and the festivities. It's a time for family. You know, everyone's all cozy in their homes. You know, you're setting a fire in the fireplace. You're drinking a cup of hot chocolate. You know, like you're in your fuzzy socks and your fleece blankets. You know, like you're hibernating. You know, you're resting. You're taking care of yourself. And so you're baking cookies, you know, it's that kind of vibe. And so I think there's a lot to appreciate in the winter, but again, it's what you make of it. It's what you make of it. And so I think for your connection, you know, it's what you make of it. And I think there's such a potential here for an intimacy like you've never known before, you know, a sense of togetherness that you've never known before. And I think it's just a matter of you seeing that opportunity for what it is, and when it comes knocking, be open to it and don't be judgmental, and don't be you know, especially with your differences, this person may be very different than what you're expecting. You know, it's just encouraging you to be open to this, and don't be scared of it, because it is going to be quite intense and overwhelming. You know, the depth of feeling here, the depth of passion, again, like the intimacy level. Just be open to it. Don't be scared of it. Especially if it's signifying a lot of changes in your life or a lot of changes in their life. Okay. So these cards will be representing either your soulmate's current career path or what they could be good at if they chose to pursue it. So we have oracle cards. So they could be like what I'm doing right now. You know, they could be a tarot card reader or someone who's interested in occult related things. We did get that they were very spiritual. This could be a hobby for them. They could seek guidance from spirit. That lines up really well with that hermit card energy we got before. We got writing. They could be a talented writer. They could be successful at anything involving writing. We got speaker, so this would work really well. Like, they could be a tarot card reader on YouTube. That could be a thing with speaker and oracle cards. Yeah, and they could write stories, and speaker lines up really well with that, right? Because like authors have to go on book tours and they have to speak about their novel in interviews, things like that. Yeah, their books could be turned into audiobooks, things like that. They could do anything involving speaking, or they could be someone who's really great at talking and communicating with writing and speaker. They could be really gifted at communication. I think before I mentioned they would make a great therapist. I think that was your group. But yeah, that could be confirming that. They're really talented at communication, whether it's one-on-one or to a group of people. And that may be a skill that they've developed over time. You know, maybe they've grown into this aspect of themselves. We have support. I do feel like they're very divinely supported in their career path. Remember with Hermit, I said they're in an empowered energy, and they are well within their soul's purpose or on that path. I feel like it's because of that connection to Spirit, and Spirit is really supporting them because they talk to Spirit. You know, they are very spiritual. With Strength, I feel like they've been through a lot of challenges in their life. Hermit, it says it all. Like, they've had to go on their own. They've had to be on their own on a journey without any support or help other than their own light and the light from Spirit, that divine guidance. And so that's why they rely on their faith and spirituality so much, because they haven't been able to rely on the people in their life that they should be able to trust. So if you can't trust like your friends or your family, or you just don't have that social support for whatever reason, who do you have to rely upon then? Like yourself, your own inner light. And your inner light is the divine. Like, you are connected to the divine. Like, they understand that. Energy healing, so they could do anything anything related to spirituality. You know, anything that's healing other people's energy. They could work in the mental health profession as well. You know, healing people energetically, like helping people with that self-development. You know, they've done that for themselves with the Hermit energy. I said that before. They've known self-development. They've worked on themselves. So they could help other people in that way as well. So like, you're not physically seeing it. It's not like the medical profession, right? But mentally, mental health profession, like energetically, they could be healing people. Again, they could work in a spiritual profession as well. Sensitivity. Yeah, anything that involves being sensitive to the needs of other people. Again, therapist, anything involving mental health could be a possibility here. Freedom. I do feel like they could have like multiple jobs, and they could be free to do lots of different things, because these skills that we're talking about, them being compassionate, them being a good listener, them being sensitive to the needs and the energy of other people, them being a talented speaker, them being good at writing, them being skilled at communication, them having this spiritual connection, being able to read cards like I'm reading cards right now. All of these things could be funneled into multiple career paths, right? So they do have some freedom and flexibility about what they choose to pursue. Okay, these cards are going to be describing your soulmate's current love life. What is currently happening in their love life? So we have new love. A new door to love will soon open for you. New love is on the way. This could also represent a new phase in a relationship. Enjoy the excitement. And we have spirit guides. Your spirit guides are watching over your current love situation. Pay attention to repeating signs. This card also means that you are protected and it is safe for you to love. I mean, are you surprised by this card? Because I sure am not. Your soulmate is very spiritual. Very, very spiritual. Their spirit guides are working to bring you guys into union. Like, I don't know if you're connected with your spirit guides or not. I don't know if this is the first tarot reading you've ever clicked on. I don't know. But your soulmate spirit guides are rooting for them. They're working in their favor. They're working behind the scenes to bring you guys together. Like, their spirit guides are like, we want them to be happy. Like, they deserve it. They have worked on it. They are ready for this. So I don't think that you are far off from meeting your soulmate. I think it could be happening, like I said, in the winter season. So maybe it could be happening, well, I guess it depends upon where you live, but it could be happening at the end of this year. If winter happens at the end of the year for you, I would definitely say you could be uniting with your soulmate by the end of this year or early next year at the latest. That's what I would say. Or just in general, whenever your winter season is, that could be when you are meeting your soulmate. Your soulmate is calling in new love, and I think they're calling in you. I think that they are ready. Everything I've been getting from their energy, to me, feels like they are mature and ready for this connection. Okay. We have children. Oh my gosh. They could really, really be wanting a family. Like, you've got, like, what, 3-4 cards about fertility? They could really want a family, or family could be really important to them. Again, like your children, if you're wanting children, they could do very significant, amazing things in this life. You may already have children, or they may already have children, but I just feel like this is more so talking about the fact that if you're wanting a family, they really want a family as well. We have trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. I think from your soulmate's perspective, they're just waiting. Like, they just have trust and faith that this is going to happen when it's meant to happen, and that's it. Like, they're so connected to their spirit guides. They're just like, I trust my spirit guides, and you know, like, when I'm ready to meet my soulmate, I'll meet my soulmate, and that's it. You know, like, they just have trust and faith that this is going to happen when it's meant to happen, and they're not trying to rush or force anything. Okay, so these cards are going to discuss what your romantic partnership will be like with your soulmate once you are in union with them. We have friendship. So friendship is definitely going to be the bedrock of this connection. You're not just going to be romantic partners, you're going to be friends as well. You may be friends initially, and this develops into a romantic partnership. If that message is resonating, feel free to claim it. But I feel like on their side, they are going to intuitively know that you are their soulmate because of this connection to spirit that they have. So maybe you don't recognize them right away, but they're definitely going to recognize you for who you are. We have security. I love this. I feel like home, like this idea of nesting, and even like this idea, this egg here, like birthing something again, like family and children could be huge themes in your connection here. But I do feel like a sense of like safety and stability and being a team and being able to rely on each other. Like, I feel like there's so much here about, you know, you feel taken care of, and they feel taken care of by you. Like, everything feels very safe and secure and stable. Like, this is a connection that would have longevity. We have control. I think there may be a little bit here about like possessiveness and like a little bit of jealousy. You know, no connection is perfect, right? So maybe like you or them are maybe overly protective of one another, or, you know, just wanting to make sure the other person is safe. And maybe sometimes that can come off as controlling, or like you may be sitting there being like, yeah, I'm a little bit bossy sometimes, or like, yeah, I get a little bit jealous sometimes, you know, like no connection is perfect. And so this would be maybe something that you all need to work on. This could also be discussing like the need to release control and go with the flow. You know, this could be representing like, because this is such an intense connection, there may be this propensity for you two to move very quickly and wanting to control, like, oh, we should be saying I love you now, we should be getting married now, we should be moving in together now. So, or you could be having children very quickly. Like, there could be this like need to control, and like, I finally met this person, I don't want to let them go. And so maybe you hold on too tightly, you know, or maybe you try to move things too fast, or maybe that's their energy, maybe that's both of you. So that could just be something to be mindful of. We have patience. I feel like they've been so patient in terms of waiting for this connection to come in. But I also think that having patience with one another, because the connection is going to be very intense and it is going to be very passionate. And so there may be something that happens to slow it down, maybe a little bit of divine intervention, like there could be like a long distance element, or maybe something holds you guys up from being able to move in together right away. Like maybe there's some sort of divine intervention that slows it down so that you guys don't move too quickly. But I also feel like sort of that saying, like love is patient, love is kind. That's the energy here. Like I feel like you guys are just so sweet with one another, so patient, so loving, so nurturing. It feels very like, especially like if they had a difficult childhood, or you know, a difficult relationship with their parents, like because of the Hermit energy, like maybe they don't have a close relationship with their family, even though family is very important to them. Maybe that's something that you help with, like you're very patient and nurturing towards them, or this could be your energy, or it could be a mutual thing between you two. And so there's an element there of like reparenting, like they've had to reparent themselves, but also like you guys are very kind and loving towards one another, and that's very healing and very, you know, makes them feel safe and secure. Okay, we have efforts. I always like when this card comes out because I think that's one of the biggest things in any romantic partnership or any connection in general is like mutual effort. Like show me that you care. Put in the work, you know, like relationships are work. So I like to see that there, that you guys are both mutually willing to put in the effort to be patient with one another. Guarded. Maybe that's why there needs to be some patience there. That could be your energy or their energy, but it could be that you guys both have been hurt a lot in the past and you need to feel safe and secure before you open up emotionally. And then we have caution. I feel like, again, this is Spirit saying, like, just maybe take it a little bit slow if you can. Like, things may move really quickly. Like, we got so many cards about fertility. Like, if you don't want children right away, maybe be mindful of that, because like you could get pregnant or they could get pregnant very quickly. So just maybe be mindful of that. I think things are gonna move very quickly. Like I feel it's kind of this energy of like you guys both have been patiently waiting, and then when you meet, it's like a fire and it happens unexpected and very quickly, and then like your whole lives are turned upside down. Like that's kind of how it feels to me. All right. So let's find out some months for when you could be meeting this person. We already got some sort of timeline going, so we'll just see. Pile 3, when could they be meeting their... July has come up, I think, in every single group. Pile 3, when could they be meeting their soulmate? We got August. October. We got April. Bottom of the deck, we got February. So like every season is represented. So it feels similar to pile 1. I actually feel like there's quite a lot of crossover with pile 1. But with pile 1, it was kind of this message of there's a ton of opportunities for you guys to meet each other. There's an element here of divine timing. You know, it's just whenever you're energetically aligned, you can meet this person at any time. Like, that's what it kind of feels like. Definitely, if I had to place a bet, I would say the winter season. But I definitely feel like you can meet this person at any point in time. It's just whenever you guys are energetically aligned, that's when it's going to happen. And it kind of feels like Spirit doesn't want to tell you the exact timing because they don't want you to be worried and anxious. They just want you to go with the flow and trust them and be patient and let it happen when it's meant to happen. And it kind of feels like a very sweet energy too, of like them preparing like a surprise or a very romantic meeting, you know, something very special, like a unique story to tell. Like you're like, oh, we have this very cool story of how we met or how we were reunited if this is someone from your past. All right, so pile 3, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I would like to express so much gratitude for everyone who's been commenting and liking and doing all those things that I just listed out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one. If you all want to see more soulmate readings, comment down below. But otherwise, take care, pile 3. Best of luck to you in love. And yeah, I'm wishing you the very best.